Fiona is the sun inside the Moon.exe game, and here's why. Before I dig deep into why Sun is Fiona, I want to discuss what Moon.exe is. I think the entire point of Moon.exe is that M2 is programmed with David's memories, programmed to be David. So Moon.exe is full of David's memories, because Moon.exe is literally the base coding for the M2, and what we see in the ending is simply us resetting M2 to its base programming, removing the violent tendencies it was taught by Edwin, and having M2 switch back to its original David-like child form, because it has been reset back into its belief it is a child. Moon.exe is essentially the manifestation of David, being all the core aspects of his life that his father would know of to code into M2's memories. This is why the statue of Edwin and Fiona shows Fiona burnt, but Edwin's statue is fine, despite it being heavily implied that Edwin is also dead, and M2 being fully aware of that fact. Because Edwin didn't know of his own death to programming it in, and the events that happen to the mimic in real time don't alter the original programming to have Edwin's statue change at all. Which is also why resetting the program removes the violent tendencies, because the violent tendencies were mimicked after and were never a part of the M2 programming. Now, why does the mimic let you reset it? Because of the base program. We see the mimic fight between its learnt/mimicked actions and its base program in the final scene of the Moon.exe ending, when it goes to jump at you and then shrinks when you play the story. This is because M2 is still, at its core, being told to act like David would, making it return to its David form whenever a situation that was specifically programmed for arises, with reading a bedtime story being a behavior that any parent would teach their new child. Now, to my main point. I think that Sun and Moon in Moon.exe are representative of David's parents being Sun and Moon, but simultaneously are two conflicting forces in the code. Edwin's protections of the code, which is Moon trying to stop you moving around too much, and M1's attempts to mess with it, which is Sun helping you sneak past Moon's defenses, leads to a point where M1 is represented as Fiona for the obvious reason that both David and M2 would have fully believed that M1 was their mother. I think it's incredibly likely, due to M1's absolute insistence of M2 being made and absolute insistence M2 gets repaired, that M1 has some sort of ulterior motive for another mimic being made. Hence why M1 was attempting to touch the code, and hence why Edwin put in a firewall to begin with, when he started to doubt her actually being Fiona. I think this would also explain why Edwin and Fiona are also shown as the statues, as those are the representation of the actual memories of his parents that Edwin coded into the mimic, making Sun and Moon something different. It would also explain why Sun and Moon are the only living things in this area that appear humanoid and talk to you. All the other living things are animals that don't speak. This is because the two have an active impact on what is happening within Moon.exe, allowing them to directly influence what happens in the game, with Sun trying to help you and Moon trying to stop you. This then also explains why putting on the mask convinces Moon you are David, and Moon lets you pass because Sun is concealing you from the firewall. In the true ending, we see Mexis, aka Fiona, with screens around her displaying Sun. I personally don't think this is a coincidence, and it would make sense why she would want us to bring back David in the first place. Also, inside the Moon.exe program, when we first see the old lady /Sun, she is in a cabin with masks around her, specifically a Foxy mask, a Freddy mask, and a body mask, which we are tasked to fix. All those animatronics were designed by Fiona Murray in the 1970s. She also created the design for Chica. All this leads me to conclude that Sun is Fiona, and that all this isn't just a whole coincidence.